Hey everybody, and welcome to another deep dive. You wanted to learn more about the African rock python, so let's get right to it.
Always exciting to talk about these incredible
Yeah,
creatures.
and it's interesting because we've got this excerpt here called the rock python, Python sebae, a powerful predator of the wild. And just looking it over, I can already tell this is going to be a wild ride.
Definitely some fascinating stuff in there.
Yeah, so like right off the bat, we see that these pythons can reach up to 20 feet long.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, 20 feet. Think about that. That's longer than most cars. Can you even imagine?
I mean, it's hard to fathom encountering something that size in the wild, but it's that size that makes them such a dominant force in their ecosystem.
Right, totally. Like
Yeah.
it says here, they're at the top of the food chain, keeping things in balance.
Yeah, controlling populations of all sorts of animals. Rodents, antelope, you name it.
Oh, and their camouflage. They mentioned that too. They've got these amazing markings, dark brown, olive, and yellow.
Yeah, blending right into the rocks and dry grass.
Perfectly. Like they just disappear. Poof.
It's evolution at its finest. Not just about hiding from predators, but also about being a super stealthy hunter.
Speaking of hunting, they're found all over sub-Saharan Africa. It says here, grasslands, forests, even near human settlements.
That's right, super adaptable, which is a big reason why they're so successful. They're not picky.
Yeah.
As long as they've got water and prey nearby, they're good to go.
And get this, they can swim too.
Oh yeah, excellent swimmers actually. They even use water to escape danger sometimes. Or to hunt.
Whoa, hold on. A swimming snake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a new one for me. Definitely not something you see every day.
It's true, they're full of surprises.
So let's talk hunting tactics. The excerpt emphasizes that they're non-venomous constrictors, which honestly, at first glance, might sound, I don't know, maybe a little less intimidating.
Right, but you don't want to underestimate the power of constriction.
No, definitely not. It goes on to describe how they basically cut off blood flow.
Yeah, wrapping their incredibly strong bodies around their prey, squeezing tighter and tighter until...
Well, suffocation, I mean, it's brutal,
Mhm.
but it clearly gets the job done.
And here's the part that I think really blows people's minds.
Yeah.
They can swallow prey much larger than their heads.
I know. It even says antelopes, warthogs, even crocodiles,
Imagine that, a python that just ate a crocodile.
like something straight out of a movie.
It's incredible. Their jaws and stomachs are so flexible, like biological marvels. They can unhinge their jaws, stretch their skin. It's really quite amazing.
Seriously, so what happens after they swallow something that massive? Like, how do they even digest it?
Well, that's where their slow metabolism comes in. After a big meal, they can go for weeks, sometimes even months without eating.
Wow, so they feast and then basically go into power-saving mode.
Exactly. They're experts at conserving energy. And it makes sense. If you only have to eat every few months, why waste energy?
I guess that's true. It's fascinating how their bodies are designed for this whole feast or famine lifestyle.
It really is. It's all about efficiency.
But there's something else here that I gotta say really surprised me.
Mm.
The source talks about their maternal side, and it's not what you'd expect from a reptile.
Yeah, it's pretty unusual.
No.
Unlike most snakes that lay their eggs and then just take off, female African rock pythons actually guard their nests, and they stay with their babies for a while after they hatch.
Wait, really? That's kind of sweet. Like a reptilian kindergarten or something?
Right. It's definitely not what people typically associate with snakes, but it shows that there's so much more to these creatures than we often realize.
It's amazing. It makes you wonder what other surprises they're hiding. We're only scratching the surface here.
Right, definitely. There's always more to discover. And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll be exploring their relationship with humans, which is a whole other fascinating chapter.
Okay, so we've got their incredible size, their stealthy hunting tactics, expandable stomachs, and even their surprising maternal instincts. Sounds like we're just getting started.
We are. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, everyone. It's amazing to think that a creature like the African rock python can just swallow a crocodile whole and be good to go for weeks.
It really speaks to just how efficient their bodies are.
Right. And we were talking about their metabolism before, how they can go for so long without eating.
Yeah, it's not just about, willpower or something. It's a direct link to how they conserve energy.
So they're not just being lazy when they lounge around, they're actually saving up.
Exactly. It's a survival strategy, and it ties into their whole ambush predator thing.
Oh yeah, makes sense. Gotta be patient if you're waiting for the perfect moment to strike.
And sometimes that waiting can take days, even weeks.
Wow, talk about playing the long game. So it's like they're always in this power-saving mode until, bam, they need to explode into action.
That's a great way to put it. Their whole system is built around this boom and bust cycle, feast or famine.
And when they feast, they really feast.
Yeah.
I still can't get over those expandable jaws and stomachs.
It's mind-boggling how they manage to swallow prey so much bigger than their heads. It's like, how is that even possible?
Right. I was reading about that earlier and just, my mind was blown.
Well, their lower jaw bones are connected in a way that lets them stretch incredibly wide. Plus, their skin and ribs are super flexible.
So it's like their whole body is designed to stretch and make room.
Yeah, and then their digestive system kicks in. They have these powerful enzymes that break down everything, even bones and horns.
Wow, so nothing goes to waste, nature's ultimate recycling program right there.
Exactly. Every bit of their prey gives them energy they need to survive in these often harsh environments.
You know, this deep dive is really changing how I see snakes. It's easy to just think of them as, slithering creatures. But there's so much more going on.
They're complex, adaptable, incredibly efficient, and let's not forget their maternal instincts. We touched on that earlier, but it's worth repeating. It's really unique.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's not something you typically associate with snakes. The fact that the females guard their eggs and stay with the babies.
Yeah, it really goes against our common perceptions of them. Most snakes just lay their eggs and move on.
But these pythons, they stick around. It's like they're actually, I don't know, caring for their young.
It's a level of parental care you don't see in many reptiles, and it plays a crucial role in the survival of the species.
It makes you realize that even in the animal world, there are different ways of being a mother.
Exactly. It challenges our assumptions, and it highlights the amazing diversity of life on Earth.
So we've covered their size, their hunting, their digestion, even their parenting.
Yeah.
What else is there to discover about these amazing creatures?
Well, I think it's important to talk about their relationship with humans, which is something you mentioned wanting to discuss earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, right? On one hand, we're fascinated by them, but on the other hand, there's this fear.
It's a complicated relationship for sure. And I think that fear is understandable to a degree.
Right, they're big, powerful predators.
But it's important to remember that they're not inherently aggressive towards humans.
I mean, unless they feel threatened.
Right, exactly. Most attacks happen when humans try to capture them or kill them or get too close.
So it's more about us respecting their space.
Exactly. We need to remember that we share this planet with them, and peaceful coexistence requires understanding and respect.
And unfortunately, human activities are putting a lot of pressure on them. Like we talked about earlier with habitat destruction.
Yeah, that's a huge issue. As humans expand, we're encroaching on their territory, leading to habitat loss and fragmentation. It's a recurring theme in a lot of the research you send over.
And then there's the whole illegal pet trade, which is just...
It's a sad reality. People capturing these wild animals for their own amusement without considering the consequences.
And pythons are not meant to be pets. They need specialized care and environments that most people just can't provide.
It's cruel to take them away from their natural habitats, and it's also dangerous. They are powerful creatures, and keeping them in captivity poses risks.
So what can we do to help? It feels like such a big problem.
Well, education is key. The more people understand about snakes, the less they'll fear them, and the more likely they are to support conservation efforts.
So it's about shifting the narrative from fear to fascination.
Exactly, and we can all play a role in that. Sharing what we've learned, challenging negative stereotypes.
And supporting organizations that are working to protect them.
Yes. There are groups doing amazing work, rescuing injured snakes, rehabilitating them, releasing them back into the wild. They're also doing research and advocating for policies that protect these animals.
It's inspiring to know that there are people out there fighting for them.
It really is. And it shows that even small actions can make a difference. Supporting sustainable practices, reducing our environmental impact, speaking out against wildlife trafficking. It all adds up.
It's about recognizing that we're all connected. We're part of this intricate web of life.
And ultimately, it's about respecting all living creatures, even the ones that might seem scary or unfamiliar.
Well said. This deep dive has been an eye-opening experience for sure. I'm walking away with a whole new appreciation for the African rock python.
I'm glad to hear that. And before we wrap up, I do have one last thought I want to share.
Okay, I'm listening.
We've talked a lot about the physical aspects of these snakes, but I think there's a deeper lesson here, something we can all learn from them.
Oh, intriguing. Tell me more.
They embody this incredible resilience, this tenacity that lets them thrive in some really challenging environments. They've mastered patience. They're not afraid to go without for long periods. They adapt. They persevere.
Survivors.
Exactly. And I think in a world that's constantly changing and often feels chaotic, we can all learn from that. from their ability to adapt and never give up.
To stay strong, even when things are tough.
Right. Their story is a reminder that even in the face of adversity, it's possible to not just survive, but to truly thrive.
It's a powerful message, for sure. I think we could all use a bit of that Python resilience in our lives.
I agree, to face our own challenges with that same tenacity, that same grace, that same willingness to keep going.
Well, that's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your expertise and for taking us on this incredible journey.
It's been my pleasure. And remember, everyone, the next time you see a snake, even if it's just a picture, take a moment to think about what we've discussed, about their strength, their resilience, their importance. Let's choose curiosity over fear.
And understanding over ignorance. And let's all do our part to make sure these amazing creatures continue to thrive for generations to come.
Well said.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back soon with another exploration of the natural world. Until then, stay curious. Welcome back for our final look into the life of the amazing African rock python.
You know, it's really made me think about how we see snakes in general.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have this kind of a automatic fear response,
Definitely. But this deep dive has really shown me that there's so much more to them than meets the eye.
They're complex creatures,
Yeah,
and they play a vital role in the ecosystem.
absolutely. Like the rock python being an apex predator.
Mm.
That's huge.
Right at the top of the food chain.
Helps keep everything in balance.
It's all connected,
Yeah, each species has its place. And when one is threatened, it affects the whole system.
Which is why conservation is so important.
Exactly. We need to protect these creatures, not just for their sake, but for the health of the whole planet.
Couldn't agree more.
So, what can we do as individuals? I mean, it can feel overwhelming. Well, education is a big one. The more people know about snakes, the less they'll feel them.
Right. Knowledge is power.
And the more likely they are to support conservation efforts.
So we need to shift that narrative from fear to understanding.
Exactly. And we can all be a part of that. Talking about what we've learned, sharing cool facts, challenging those negative stereotypes.
And their organizations doing amazing work too.
Right.
People on the ground making a real difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Groups dedicated to rescuing injured snakes, rehabilitating them, releasing them back into the wild. They're also doing research, advocating for policies to protect these animals.
It's good to know there are people out there fighting for them.
It gives me hope. And it shows that even small actions can have a big impact. Supporting sustainable practices, reducing our environmental footprint, speaking out against things like wildlife trafficking, it all contributes to a healthier planet.
For everyone, pythons included.
Exactly. It's all connected. We have to remember that.
This deep dive has been really eye-opening. I have a whole new level of respect for the African rock python now.
That's wonderful to hear. And I hope our listeners are feeling the same way. They really are remarkable creatures.
Definitely. So, as we wrap up, I just want to leave everyone with this thought. The next time you see a snake, wherever it is, take a moment to really appreciate it. Think about everything we've talked about. Their strength, their resilience, their ability to adapt. It's incredible.
Let's try to see them through new eyes, not as something to be feared, but as a vital part of the natural world, something to be respected and protected.
Well said. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of the African rock python. We hope you've enjoyed the journey.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, stay curious. We'll catch you next time.